The emperor thinks about a man every day, a man who grew up under his watchful eye, a sunny boy. Asa Chesterton. 4 years ago at the age of 15, Asa Chesterton was already a member of the Royal Guard Knights. He thought he could rise smoothly according to the set plan. Unexpectedly, he was demoted again and again, pushed to the most difficult positions. He really doesn't know where he'll go next time. That day he suddenly received news, another order from the palace. Asa thought it must be another demotion order. The attendant couldn't help but complain a bit. It seems that if the order isn't a demotion, you might be disappointed. Asa cooperatively replied, yes, if it's not a demotion, I will indeed be disappointed. The attendant smiled wryly, then Master Asa, you must brace yourself. The only place left for you might be an isolated island. Asa clapped his hands in mock surprise. Oh, there's still an isolated island. The attendant couldn't help but pinch this unambitious young master and complain. Master Asa, you are already 24 years old. Your younger siblings have already made a name for themselves in the capital, yet you are still waiting to be sent to an isolated island. If you don't hurry, do you really think those noble ladies would marry someone on an isolated island? Asa really didn't want to listen to this guy's nagging anymore. All right, let's quickly go and hear what the order is. The two went to the reception room and were a bit surprised to see the visitor. Unexpectedly, it was Ishur who came personally. Ishur is the emperor's consort and also Asa's comrade in the Knights. When Asha saw her long-lost friend, she couldn't help but hug her. Ashal couldn't help but laugh. You haven't changed at all after all this time. Asha asked her why she came in person. Are you here to banish me to an island this time? Ashal told her that it's not a demotion this time. Asha was taken aback. Not a demotion? Is it a gift then? Ashal played coy. Of course not. I am here to take you back. Meanwhile, at the Prittlester Empire's imperial palace, the main inheritor, Kirkap, because the emperor of the Prittlester Empire is 30 years old this year, is discussing with Asha Chester's brother, Alan Chester, a tenfold mystery. It contains records of the emperor's marriage law which were originally lost. Originally, 8 chapters and 10 versions were missing, and now they have suddenly appeared here. Most importantly, this is very advantageous for Kirkap. According to the exception clause of the marriage law, if the royal host, the emperor, still has no marriage partner during peacetime, to consolidate the emperor's power and prevent chaos, he can marry a male from a noble family with deep grievances against the royal family. Kirkap asked Alan if he wanted to know on which day the tenfold was found. Still playing coy, Alan said, you'd be shocked if you knew. It was found in your Chester family's warehouse. Alan has been fierce. What? Kells makes no secret of his good mood at the moment. I found it in your Chester family's warehouse, I said. On the other hand, Ishur tells Asha that this time the emperor demands to take her directly to the palace. Asha, with a look of surprise, asks, is this a direct dismissal? That's quite quick. Ishur is amused by Asha's words and laughs heartily. Did you make some sort of bet with His Majesty? Asha replies seriously, it's not like that. I'm just thinking I must be out of luck next time. Ishur also finds it strange that Asha, who hasn't returned even after being demoted for 4 years, is suddenly required to go back to the palace. Asha also expresses that she doesn't know why and decides to go with the flow. Ishur thinks there's no need to dwell on it further. Once they return, things will become clear. Alright, here is the imperial edict. Your life back home is now over. Return to the palace immediately. Asha is unperturbed, but the attendant eavesdropping outside jumps 3 feet high with joy. Asha is amused yet embarrassed. So, what title do I return with? Ishur tells her that the emperor will inform her personally when the time comes. Since you are being summoned back to the palace, it must be for something good. Asha doesn't think it will be that simple. Ishur tells her not to be so pessimistic. The emperor's situation has been quite complicated lately. Perhaps he wants to explain in detail after seeing you in person, says Ishur. When Asha asks if the emperor has any recent problems, Ishur replies, what else could it be? Of course, it's about marriage. At this moment in the palace, Oren asks the emperor, you said it was found in my family's warehouse? Esha told him that it was found during the last visit, about a month ago in the evening when Esha accompanied a group of guards to visit the Chester family. Since it was getting dark, they let him go, thinking that Esha was the pride of the Moni family from childhood and didn't pay further attention. Unexpectedly, he searched his own residence all night and found this thing. Alan told Esha that if his father knew, he would definitely return it to the royal family. Shin thought that if the Chester family really had something belonging to the royal family, it would be an act of rebellion. But how could his father do such a thing? Esha told him that even if the Marquis of Chester didn't, the Chester ancestors had their reasons. According to the legal provisions of the Kai version, the power of the royal family would become extremely strong. Just like Cole said, if an ancestor was afraid of the increase in royal power, it is entirely possible that they hid the Kai version. Carelessly, my family could be exterminated. This is a very serious issue, especially for someone like Cole who can behead a person with a smile. Alan tentatively asked Cole what he wanted him to do. Cole still smiled and said, "Don't you know? There is a reason why I'm only showing this to you." The emperor reminded Alan to think carefully about the terms on it: family marriage, marriage law, nobility. Oren suddenly thought of something, stood up abruptly and said, "Your Majesty, do you really intend to do this?" Cole's stance was very firm. "Of course, I've been looking for this thing for 4 years. You're not demoting Asha just because of this, are you?" At first, when I saw Asha being demoted, I thought it was a good thing and decided to let it be. But unexpectedly, the emperor is doing this to buy time to search. He's really a madman. Oren claimed to be well aware that Your Majesty cherishes and is grateful to Asha, but this isn't something I can decide on my own. Asha's opinion is the most important, first and foremost. Cole listened to Oren's incessant chatter with a bored face, telling him directly that as long as he gets his permission, that would suffice. As for Asha, he will explain it himself. The responsibility naturally falls on him as the next head of the Cheska family, and he threatened that if they don't want their clan to be annihilated, this matter must be resolved within 3 days, even by force if necessary. "Are you going to deceive Asha again?" Cole's face lit up with joy. "How could you call it deception? I just like that kid, that's all." Every day the emperor thinks of a man and a cucumber, and that man is the young knight he watched grow up. 4 years ago, Asha Cheska was demoted for unknown reasons and was forced to the most difficult frontier. This time, he was suddenly sent to fetch him back to the palace. Meanwhile, Emperor Cole discusses his marriage with his father and brother at the palace. "You should ask Asha himself for his opinion. They've been waiting for so long now." Cole wouldn't budge. "I'm eager to see Asha too, but no one is allowed to leave until this matter is resolved," thought Oren. Instead of handing over confidential documents to the emperor, he decided it would be better to leave everything in Asha's own hands. "If Asha is willing, then I support your intentions unconditionally. I'm very grateful for your thoughts, but this is just your own idea. I presume Count Ju might have some other thoughts on this. If Eileen is to choose the color of the ribbon for father, then please leave it to me." Seeing this situation, Duke Fuyan had no choice but to compromise. "If this is what the next Duke of Chester means, then I shall follow his wishes. His lifelong happiness is what matters most." Cole was very satisfied with this outcome. "I'm truly grateful that the Duke of Chester would say so. The relationship between the Duke of Chester and the royal family is very close. I hope this good relationship will continue in the future." The group prepares to head to the drawing room to see Asha. "Let's go together." Asha must be eagerly waiting there. Eileen found this metaphor quite awkward. What does eagerly mean? The guy is already of age. Eileen didn't think so. "In my eyes, he still looks like a little chick, very cute. Because he's too cute, sometimes I want to wring his neck." Asha couldn't make out a word of Cole's late confession, which was infuriating. As the group approached the drawing room, they could hear Asha's voice, "Lord Cole." Asha, with his radiant appearance, appeared before them, running over to embrace them. Then, shouting, "Father." Cole realized that Asha wasn't running to embrace him. He intercepted Asha, who was running past, and held him tightly in his arms. He even kissed him on the forehead. "Long time no see." Asa looked up at him. "Yeah, it has been a long time." His father and brother watched, gritting their teeth. Who knows why? They hadn't seen each other for 4 years and now he's kissing and hugging someone else's son. Ellen also realized how foolish his brother could be. He couldn't understand it. "Even though my stupid brother is like that, Cole still likes him." Cole asked, "Didn't I tell you to wait in the palace? Why did you come out?" Asa kissed Cole's cheek. "Because I missed you too much, Lord Cole." At that moment, Isher really wanted to escape the palace. Cole couldn't help but gently bite Asa's cheek. Asa quickly covered his face. "Are you planning to nibble on me again?" Cole looked at this little guy indulgently. "Is that a problem? What's the big deal? Alright, let's go. Guinness heard you were back and made lots of bread and cookies." Asa showed a greedy expression. "Really? I want to eat a lot." Asa waved to his father and brother. "Father, I'll be back for dinner." "See you later, brother." The two of them left hand in hand under everyone's watchful eyes. His father and brother decided to return immediately to find that stone. Cole asked him what he did in Baikan. Asa eagerly chattered on. "Didn't you see last time you came? I learned to cast nets, improved my fishing skills, and even learned to gut fish." The two of them were happily chatting in the front, not noticing Isher following behind. "That guy Asa, I thought he was useless, but he's actually pretty good at handling his own affairs. But now he looks completely foolish. Not only walking hand in hand, but even hugging gently with his majesty." Asa asked Cole, "What's the reason for calling me back this time?" "Because I missed you too much and I have something important to tell you." Isher was self-hypnotizing. I didn't see anything." Cole looked at this little guy who had been on his mind for a long time. "I prepared a bedroom for you. You should rest well in it." In the palace? I'd rather go home. Kale was feeling irritable about this ingrate who now wanted to go home. Kale, slightly offended, wasn't there? Well, then there's no helping it. I originally had a treasure to show you, which instantly piqued Ash's interest. What's the treasure? A treasure I recently found. It's still on the way and should arrive by tomorrow afternoon. Asha pondered for a moment. So, do I have to wait until tomorrow? Kale, hearing this, saw an opportunity. Could you possibly wait? But Asha wanted to deliver a message to the Marquis first, as everyone was still waiting. The Emperor immediately stopped Yishur and asked him to deliver a message. Marquis Chester should still be in the palace. You go burn a message, and then you can head back as well. As you wish. The two entered the room, and Kale felt all over Asha, from top to bottom, finally reaching the joints. When you were little, you were so chubby I couldn't even feel your bones, said Asha, lying there and looking at him. I've lost a lot of weight. You're very thin now, Kale said, touching Ash's face. Don't you miss me? Asha gave Kale a fierce look. What's there to miss if we only see each other once every half a year? Kale, hearing this, suppressed his anger. That's right, it's always been a problem. The imperial messenger came again that day. It was expected to be another demotion order, but surprisingly, it was to personally send Yishur to bring him back to the imperial palace. Asha thought back to the events before his demotion, only recalling that time in the imperial garden, having coffee with Emperor Kale. Kale smiled as he watched Asha. Would you like to stand back to back in the imperial palace? At that time, Asha, who was amidst the commoners, didn't hear the emperor had changed into a new set of clothes for Asha. And Asha looked like he was about to fall asleep. The emperor saw his cute little appearance. I couldn't help but walk up to you. Clearly, you are with me now, but are you feeling sleepy? Asha finally came to his senses and apologized for being distracted. Are you dozing off? Sleepily scratching his head in embarrassment. Yes, I've been on duty for 3 days straight until yesterday. I'm really tired, sorry. Coil wasn't angry, there's no need for apologies between us. Just pretend you didn't hear what I just said. Asha quickly said, no, it's not like that. The palace guards are very good. I've been with the Holy Knights for a year and adapted quickly. Coil of course knew that the current position of the palace guards was good. Handpicked by the emperor himself. But don't overdo it, he said, poking Ash's cheek. Look how your face has gotten thinner. Asha clutched his face, it's because of aging. Coil said affectionately, but the flesh on your cheeks shouldn't disappear as you age. When you were little, your cheeks were like 2 buns, always so white and chubby, it made people want to pinch them gently. Asha quickly covered his face, don't tease me anymore. I'm already 20 years old, about to get married, soon to be head of a household. It will be embarrassing if you keep doing this when I meet the ladies. Coil feigned ignorance, speaking of which, your fiancée is my sister, right? Talking about that engagement is just ridiculous. It was practically coercion and deception. I was suddenly invited to a ball and didn't expect it to be my own engagement party. Even at the engagement banquet, I had no idea what was happening. I just heard everyone congratulating me. It was only 3 days after the party that I learned about it. Coil told Asha, this was to grant you entry into the royal family. Even the Chesek family is far from the royal family's level. You should be thankful to us. Asha thought grumpily, do you think everyone wants that? Coil asked tentatively, so, after you get married, will you also have children? I never really thought that much about it. Imagining that scenario, it just doesn't seem like me. Asha is seriously considering it. If I were to get married, then of course, having children would follow. Emperor Coil would be truly upset if he heard her say that. I can't believe he actually wants to get married and have children. How ridiculous. Asha asked Kaer, don't you think you seem more anxious than I am? She added, they also say Kaer is getting married too late. There are a lot of bad rumors circulating among the people. Oh, what kind of rumors? Asha hesitated for a moment. The rumors say that your majesty has a problem with your physiological functions. Kaer was shocked to hear her say such a thing, then burst out laughing. That's why I'm not getting married. Asha forced a laugh, also embarrassed. Yes, that's really funny. Kaer thinks, if you knew I fantasize about you every night, you wouldn't be able to say those things. He fantasized about being intimate with her. He had been waiting for that day ever since Asha was little. He imagined hearing her call his name beneath him. But the person in front of him seemed unaware of these feelings. The position of imperial concubine has been vacant for too long, so you should get married soon. Kaer was genuinely amused by this little one. He scowled and said fiercely, didn't you hear what I just said? Were you asleep? Asha asked. Why are we suddenly talking about this again? Seeing her nervousness, Kaer quickly comforted her, don't be afraid. There's no need to apologize between us. 4 years had passed since that incident. On her way back to the palace, Asha kept thinking about that time she dozed off in front of the emperor. Surely, that shouldn't be enough to get her demoted repeatedly and banished so far. Asha pondered the reason for her banishment all the way back to the palace. I asked Yisha if dozing off in front of the emperor is considered insubordination. The day before I was demoted, I took a short nap in His Majesty's presence. Yisha thinks that's definitely the reason for my demotion. She says I'm lucky His Majesty didn't have me executed for napping in front of him. Ash is a bit busy, but I've been prone to dozing off since I was little. Yisha is truly exasperated with this scatterbrain. This time, when I return to the capital, I'll explain everything clearly. I don't need to wander anymore, it's time to settle down and get married. Asha thinks Yisha has a point. Should I start looking for a relationship when I get back to the capital? Yisha is relieved to see her finally coming around. She's glad I'm finally thinking about romance. If it's the Chester family, any family would accept. I should definitely try dating. Asha thinks about her friends who have started their own families. Even His Majesty is about to get married. Of course, I can't be left behind. Suddenly, Yisha remembers something and is startled. Come to think of it, aside from you, everyone's married, right? Your cousins too? Asha thinks for a moment. It seems like her uncle's children are around the same age as her. It seems I'm the only one left unmarried. In the royal family too, aside from His Majesty, everyone of marriageable age is married. Asha tells Yisha that among the direct descendants of the royal family, only His Majesty and Princess Aila are left. Didn't Princess Aila marry you? Aila and Yishel got married after falling in love. Because of that, I became the infamous Ismay who was chased out of the capital and whose fiancé was stolen by his friend. Compared to me, Aila and Yishel getting married is the right thing, because Aila has always been like a little sister to me. Yishel thinks about the nobles in the capital's social circles recently. All the emperor's peers are married. Isn't there still Miss Alicia? I heard she's supposed to marry Emperor Cole. No, they can't get married. First, we have to eliminate that woman. So, only royal and ducal families can marry into the Chester family. Even if we expand to include earl families, it seems that all the suitable ladies are already married or engaged. This means that there's no one suitable for you to marry. In this country, among the families that can form ties with the royal family, after those eligible for marriage are taken, only His Majesty and you are left. Isabella asked Asha if she had noticed anything. Confused, Asha just thought it seemed she also needed to get married soon, right? Isabella was speechless at her cluelessness. Waving her hand, Isabella told Asha that maybe she was overthinking it. It surely couldn't be that outrageous. Before this, His Majesty had asked you to return to the palace to see him, so you'll be home late. It's okay, after all, I came back for Call's sake. Since you've missed him so much, how did you endure all this time? Asha, a bit embarrassed to say it out loud, chose to remain silent. Could it be that you've met during this time? Asha replied playfully, could I choose not to answer? Alright, it seems that you really did meet. Asha, you've been so patient. Isabella wanted to warn Asha to be careful with His Majesty after returning. Seeing Isabella looking like she wanted to say something, Asha asked, what's wrong? But facing this confused soul, Isabella really didn't know how to put it. It's nothing, just be careful with His Majesty after you go back. I've always been careful around His Majesty. He's always been a strange person. Isabella was defeated by his naivety. Looking at the palace that was soon to be reached, she thought it couldn't be true. That would be too outrageous. Even His Majesty wouldn't plot such a thing. On the other hand, it's a no-go. The Duke of Chester, head of the Chester family, Ash's father. While Isher is negotiating with the Chester family, it shouldn't be bad news for them. But Ash's father doesn't see it as a matter of good or bad. Asha is simply not an option. Isher, with a deathly stare at Alan, I asked you to convince them. What have you been doing all this time? Alan averts his gaze, thinking, how could I possibly convince them of such a big issue? Isher didn't want to resort to threats, but now there's no choice. The stone tablet of the marriage law, I found it. It doesn't matter if I talk about it. Ash's father refuses to admit that tablet appeared in the Chester family's warehouse. Do you have any evidence? His Majesty discovered something I've never seen. That's really hard to believe. Isher had anticipated this, evidence? If you really want to see the evidence, I can show it to you. But do you really want that? Faced with Call's threat, Ash's father remains firm. If there's evidence, I'll accept the consequences, whatever they may be. No choice then. Let's go with 2 members of the special inspection team to the Chester residence. Take a good look in your family's basement. Ash's father is stunned. What? The special inspection team? They are members of the Prudent Reformist Blue Future Association, part of Prydale's highest power group, specially cultivated talents by Call. What's in that basement again? The Chester family might not be certain, just in case there are documents they don't want outsiders to see. It could be a big issue. Ash's father insists, you may not trust me, but there's no need for the special inspection team. This is a very disgraceful matter for the Chester family. Call says there's no need to worry, Alan is also a member of the special inspection team. I won't leave any documents from the inspection of the Marquise's mansion. Let's go now. If it were Isher, Call and McKay would have been perfect. But Ash's father knows it's because they're friends of Asha and Alan. This is too sudden, Your Majesty. You should give us some time. But why would Coyle give him a chance to breathe? What does this mean? The Chester family's integrity and incorruptibility are known throughout the country. Isn't it enough that no arrow shaft was found in that basement? Alan finally understood. This guy clearly set a trap. Even if there were no arrow shafts, Coyle would have planted them there. Alan abruptly stood up. Your Majesty, I want to see Asha. They've just entered the city. I need to ask Asha. Asha and Ashal had arrived a while ago. They said His Majesty was in a meeting and told us to rest in the palace. Asha was a little angry. He called me back, and he's still in a meeting? I want to see my father and brother first. They should still be in the palace, right? Ashal said, everyone is in the meeting room now. It must be something serious. Let's wait in the palace. Asha couldn't wait. I'll wait at the entrance of the meeting room. Ashal was startled. What? This is Ashal, who I can hold hands with and walk around everywhere. This is a bit much. What does this mean? Who would hold hands and walk around in the imperial palace? Ashal asked her, who do you usually hold hands with here? Asha thought for a moment. It seems like it's father, brother, and His Majesty Coyle. Asha continued, ever since I was little, whether at Chester House or the imperial palace, I've always held hands with His Majesty Coyle when walking. It feels strange not to hold hands. Ashal thought, it seems His Majesty has other intentions by calling Asha back this time. It's improper to hold hands with someone while walking in the imperial palace. It looks very disrespectful. Anyway, let's go. You can't hold my hand. Ashal forced himself not to think too much about it and chose to ignore it. That day, the emperor finally brought this little one back to his side, because he found the marriage law established 500 years ago. It states that if the emperor hasn't married by the age of 30, he can choose a male to marry from a noble family with close ties to the royal family. And whether it's a woman or a man from the noble family, as long as they are of age, they all should be married or engaged. Cole also issued a new decree forbidding divorce or breaking off engagements. Cole arranged for Asha to stay in the inner palace chambers. I learned that this little guy still doesn't understand my feelings. Actually, the reason for the demotion is very simple. The day before Ash's demotion, Cole, proposed to Asha, after staying up for several nights to finally get those words out. But that slowpoke, that guy actually fell asleep at that crucial moment. He even told me to hurry up and get married. He's completely oblivious to my feelings. Sometimes I really want to strangle him. Although the proposal is one thing, I demoted him to wake him up. During the first year of Ash's demotion, Cole, insisted on sending a letter every month. Happy birthday, Asha. How are you doing? Do you miss me? Who knew that even after being demoted, the simple-minded Asha still enjoyed life every day with a smile. I ordered him to be demoted further. By the second year, my letters still arrived every month. Happy birthday again this year, Asha. I sent you a ring as a gift. Are you almost ready to come back now? Who knew? Asha looked closely at the ring and noticed something was off. So he wrote back to me, Lord Cole, thank you very much for the ring, but I can't wear it, so I'm returning it to you. My hands trembled with anger. I immediately arranged for him to be demoted to the hardest position. I even sent him a ring like that, and he still doesn't know what it means. That's why I'm the one who's exhausted. But now, all that's left is to put my plan into action. I've been searching for information for 10 years, searching for ancient texts for 3 years, and searching for stone tablets for 4 years. Coair tapped Ash's hand. Do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? Asha had no idea what she was talking about. The plan she had been constantly envisioning in her dreams for the past 17 years was finally about to be executed. Coair decided it was time to lay all cards on the table. Asha, shouldn't you be getting married soon? Asha replied, yes, I should get married. All my peers are already married. But Lord Coair, you should be more anxious than me. I'm only 24, but you are already 30. Coair touched Ash's ear and kissed the clueless little guy. Yes, let's get married. Asha stared at him blankly. Alright. Coair thought he finally understood her feelings. On my way back, I discussed marriage with Isar. How about having a party? Coair didn't expect him to agree so quickly. A party? Yes, isn't that what we've been doing lately? Of course, announcing our marriage at a party would be the best. Coair fantasized about the day. If anyone opposed, they would hold a grand party inviting all the nobles. It would be best to display the stone tablet first and then announce the marriage. Meanwhile, at the Chester Marquisate, Ellen was furiously wiping her face. What was the shadow underground? The minister of the old Alprisdale Temple, Chester Marquise's elder brother, had been tricked again. Who knew that the previous emperor had voluntarily handed the stone tablet to the Chester family? At that time, His Majesty didn't know what Cole would do in the future, so he thought to hide the stone tablet. 20 years ago, when Cole was 10, he asked similar questions. Can't men get married? I told him they couldn't. Back then, Cole especially liked spending time with Asha every day. He even held onto the idea that love was something special every day, but he didn't think much about it because the marriage law stipulated that men couldn't marry each other. At that time, Cole proposed, why not just change the law? After so many years, I didn't expect Cole to be secretly working on this. He even found the stone tablet in our house. Alan was worried about Asha. Does he really need to do this? Old Al sighed. If it were His Majesty, he would do it. Because he has been fixated on Asha since he was young. It's not just a fixation, we could say he's been obsessively fixated. Meanwhile, these two are still discussing whether to have a marriage party or an announcement. Of course, if we have a party, there must be an announcement. It has to be grand and leave them speechless. Asha asked Cole, do you have to get married immediately if you like someone? Cole felt something was off. What do you mean, if you like someone, you have to get married immediately? Asha thought about it, because I want to fall in love first. But announcing the marriage immediately when we barely know each other makes me feel a bit pressured. Cole tentatively asked Asha, are you saying that the party is for us to find other marriage partners? Asha looked at Cole with his big innocent eyes. Yes. Cole gritted his teeth in frustration. That's more like it. I knew this naive guy answered too quickly. Asha told Cole that at the party, there would be all kinds of people. Even if they got engaged, they could end the engagement just like he did. Cole told him, absolutely not. Asha is puzzled as to why Emperor Kale is smiling uneasily. Because I have announced a decree that marriage engagements cannot be dissolved. Last episode, Asha of House Chester wanted to throw a party. Emperor Kale caressed Ash's hand and said, all right, if you wish, I will personally throw you the grandest party and invite all the ladies from the Hand's court to attend. Asha was of course delighted. That would be wonderful. A mass wedding must be quite nice. Emperor Kale frowned. What? You want to have a mass wedding? Asha laughed heartily. It's not a must, but it would be great if I could do it with you, my lord. It would solve the problems of two pairs at once and save money. Isn't that nice? Emperor Kale said through clenched teeth, feigning enthusiasm, but thinking to himself, if anyone dares to lay eyes on my little one, I'll make sure they regret it. Emperor Kale leaned in and said, since we're having a party, let's set it for 3 days from now. How about that? It's good to get things done quickly, right? 3 days is enough time to have the outfits made and send out the invitations. But before that, it would be better if you stayed in the palace to avoid the hassle of traveling back and forth. Stay here? Emperor Kale nodded, and Asha, who was pinned down, asked him, didn't you say that we can't sleep together once I've grown up? Emperor Kale affectionately touched Ash's head. Where have you grown up? You're clearly still a child. Asha disagreed. How am I small? I'm 24 and about to get married soon. Emperor Kale was slightly displeased. Who allowed that? Better get to sleep quickly, little bun. Asha laughed heartily. Isn't that a nickname from a long time ago? Emperor Kale asked him which nickname he preferred. Little bun, birdie bundle, little chick, little bear, fatty. Which name do you like? Asha felt that birdie bundle had more heart. Emperor Kale agreed that birdie bundle suited the little one the best. Asha, the housewife, told Emperor Kale, but don't call me that when there are many people around. I'm at an age where it would be embarrassing to be heard by others. Emperor Kale looked amused. Is it more embarrassing than two men holding hands and walking through the palace? Emperor Kale tenderly kissed Ash's eyes. We'll talk about it later. Now let's sleep. The two of them still cuddled together like they did when they were younger. Emperor Kale looked at the little one who had fallen asleep, remembering how white and round he was as a child, so adorable. He remembered the little one from his childhood, wanting to keep him by his side forever. When I saw 15-year-old Asha in her white knight's uniform joining the Holy Knights, I wanted to hold her in my arms, cherish and protect her. At that moment, I finally realized what that feeling was. From that moment on, I wanted to find that stone tablet more quickly and persistently. Now, I've finally found it. Cole hugged the person in his arms even tighter. I want to give you the position of Empress, the one recognized by everyone. That's been my lifelong goal. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say I became emperor for this very reason. Now, I'm close to my goal. No one can stop me.